Create with Fran Sidney. Hello everyone and welcome to the show. This is Fran Sidney and you are listening to Create with Franz, the show that is all about mindset and creating the life that you want and that you deserve to live. Today we're going to talk about toxic relationships, and a lot more people than you think are stuck in one, whether it is a person at work, a person in their family, or their partner. So let's see what we can do about this. But first of all, we need to see what is going on when you have a toxic relationship. As nowadays, so many people don't really know what a healthy relationship is like. So let's see a few things that happen that might raise a little flag for you. A toxic relationship is one where there is some harm going on at some point emotionally or physically. So every abusive relationship is toxic, but not every toxic relationship is abusive. Generally speaking, you will notice something like this. You are giving and giving and giving, and the other person in this relationship, whether it's a partner or a work partner or in a family, is not giving you anything, just getting things from you all the time. And that makes you feel that you're not really worth much and your energy levels are very low because you are just giving and giving for your need to be liked by this person, but nothing is good enough for this person. And how does that make you feel? Even worse. So you notice that your self-esteem is going down all the time. And also there is a particular thing about being not respected. And this is going on and on and on. So the person does not respect anything you say or anything you do or what you stand for. And therefore you feel that you're not really understood and you're not supported or encouraged. Even worse, the person that is with you, and I repeat, could be work, could be family, could be a partner, is actually putting you down, is criticizing you all the time and attacking you. Or many of these things, but not every day. And this behavior goes up and down. And in the end, you realize that in this relationship with this family person or work person, you're feeling angry and you go up and down from depression. Maybe you are drinking to kind of take down this anger and frustration that you feel, because after speaking to a toxic person you do feel extremely tired and exhausted, because it's very tiring to be treated in a bad way from somebody else. And it can also be that because you are in such a relationship, you start paying back the person by not behaving at your best self, but actually you bring the worst, and this person brings the worst out of you for some particular reason. So you're triggering one another. Another big sign that the relationship is not healthy is that this other person is constantly gossiping and talking badly about you when not in your presence. So it's putting you down. It's not telling the truth, it's making things bigger and making you look like an idiot or whatever. So they are indulging, they're expanding, they have a point there to put you down so that other people will think that you're not really such a good person at all. Well, you know that you haven't done the things, or you haven't done such a big thing. The other person is making this up on purpose, sorry for that. And what happens is, these people can be quite aggressive, maybe emotionally, just in words, and therefore it will come the point when you feel that you are literally walking on eggshell when you are with them, because you are worried that they will react in a bad way to whatever you're saying or you're doing, and you're not living in the way they expect you to live, and therefore they're gonna make you feel absolute trash for not being as perfect as they are. And I'm talking about this as an everyday thing, constant. And it's not a one-off thing, but it's a constant thing that you feel like I'm not gonna make it because if I say one word, they're going to destroy me, and that is toxic. Now, depending on the level of confidence and self-love that you have, Maybe you are so worried about triggering problems in this other person that you spend all your time giving them gifts and being nice to them and being very submitted and very quiet because you're trying to make them happy, because you hope, well, if they are happy, they cannot attack me. But in the end of the day, whatever you do, this person will blame you and they will shout to you, and even if you have not done a mistake, they will find a way to blame you for their own mistakes. And this goes also in the realm of narcissistic relationships, but we're not talking about them today, so that's one of the aspects of those relationships. Now, there is a difference between being in a toxic relationship and being in an abusive relationship, which means that you are now moving to psychological abuse or emotional or even physical. So you will see that there is something simmering there. You are still walking on eggshells, but the tension is still building, and then there is this sudden behavior when the person explodes or abuses you emotionally or whatever, and then later on might even say, oh, I'm sorry, but then they will say, oh, it was your fault because you triggered me, or it didn't hurt as much, or you deserve it. So they're still trying to cover themselves. So the tension and the act are then followed by a period where everything is just normal and you behave like the usual victim. So you are very quiet, you stand in a corner, you do not tend to talk much because you are just trying to survive in this situation and you don't want to risk. So it's like a cycle and it repeats all the time, and yeah, it's really not good to be in. Sometimes this behavior of a toxic relationship can show before you have formed a relationship, and you will see eventually that the healthy behavior that you would expect from a normal person is not there. So a healthy person at work, in a relationship, whatever, will show respect to you, will have compassion for you. If you have a problem, you can trust this person. He or she will try to uplift you, and it will be a little bit selfless. It will try to see what you need and what they need, and so sometimes it will be taken from you, sometimes it will be given to you. And it will be a positive interaction that you have. Most of the times you will feel secure and this person feels secure. So if you put this to the other way around, how can you tell the person that is with you in your family or at work is toxic? How can you tell? Now, each person has their own reasons for having become so toxic, so that's not here our place to judge them or tell how bad they are, because everyone with consistent therapy and efforts, unless they are past the mental stage, they have a psychosis, everyone can get better. So this is also a message for hope if you are the person that is displaying this toxic behavior, because there is a root for that. It could be also drug abuse or alcohol abuse that makes you become like that. So, but generally speaking, a toxic person will consistently and over time show that they don't respect anything about you, your boundaries, your space, your likes. It is like nothing. And they will be somehow abusive. They will go on you and just take the stuff. So you don't really trust them because you don't know what's going to happen next. And they will be, instead of being positive, they will kind of put you down and make you notice how much of a failure you are in your life. And so this way of being critical to you will eventually tear you down and resonate and make you think, well, maybe I am so bad because so and so keeps telling me. And there are ways to tell others if they're failing and they need to be brought back to a normal behavior. And criticizing all the time, all day long, every single day is really not very good. But some people are like that. And they will do that in a very selfish way. They'll not be thinking about you, trying to help you, but they're just thinking, what is it for me? So they are centered on what they need. And they're more kind of a negative person to be around with. So it's not really pleasant because all they're spitting is judgment on what you are doing, while they are absolutely perfect. And in maybe romantic relationships, you might notice that the person is very insecure and therefore jealous and thinking that you are going to go off with somebody else at any minute. Even if they are incredibly good looking and charming, still they are insecure and jealous, and therefore they create anxiety in you. And so all these things together create what we call a toxic relationship, which will eventually make you very weary of creating any other type of relationship because it is very painful. And we want to make sure that we realize that not everyone is self-aware. Not everyone knows what is a healthy way to communicate differences. For example, at work, your boss can be quite rude in the way he tells you how to do something, and that's how he communicates. So there are differences, and some people don't actually know how to read a social cue or what is hurtful. They don't understand. Maybe it's a cultural thing, maybe it's an age thing, maybe you are from a different country. They might, in their own group, in their own family, or in their own culture or tribe or whatever, they might be talking in a different way from one that you are accustomed to. So it's not to say that all the people who criticize you are criticizing because they are toxic and now you have to cut them off. You know, we have to be a little bit careful here not to throw a blanket on everyone. You're toxic, so I'm going to cut you off from my life. Well, wait. Have you seen them for months and months? Have you talked to them for months and months? Have you seen overall their behavior? And this is consistently what we do, because most of the times we are so good at throwing blanket judgments on anyone else, and then we become the toxic person because we are the one that don't give them a chance to anyone to explain themselves. So what I'm talking about here is a toxic person, so it's constantly complaining, constantly giving critical remarks to everyone else, and in their presence you really feel like you cannot be happy and you can't be competitive or anything, because they just will on purpose hurt you, will be rude on purpose, and they will target you on purpose. And there will be other things. For example, they might be cheating or stealing your projects, and they could actually hurting you physically by little pushes here and there or slaps and things like that. And this is not to go into the worst area when you're talking about narcissist behavior and sociopaths. And they are different because they want to be admired, they want to be in the center, and they will make you feel down if you are not doing what they say. And if you are not perfect, and if you make any mistake, or if they make a mistake to you, you get hurt and you complain, you're gonna be gaslighted. So be careful not to use this word gaslighting out of a psychiatric disorder that has been diagnosed, etc. But it is used to say to people, oh, this didn't happen, I haven't done it to you, you didn't deserve it. It's very typical because a true narcissist will never admit a fault, because of course they are perfect, so they never make mistakes, they never talk about themselves ever doing something wrong. And that's what it is. So there are a few problems around us. There are people who are very, very difficult to be with. And not only in the family, but it could be at work. So you might want to be moved to another area or department. So you're not working with this particular person anymore because they come to you maybe and gossip about everyone, or they complain about the job or the boss or you, or they might even throw all your work on you and then criticize you if you don't do it. And that's difficult. But most of us have a normal family, and sometimes there is one person in the family that is seriously toxic. So what can you do? There will be things that you can do about this, because you can't be a victim all the time of toxic behavior, because it will hurt you and it will make you feel very insecure in the end. One of the effects of being with a person that is very toxic is that as our self-esteem goes down, our mental health goes down, because we have this drama all the time. And we might feel isolated, we might be unable to sleep, we might feel depressed and unable to take care of ourselves. For example, it might be incredibly difficult for us to engage in a personal hobby, or to even do normal things like personal hygiene or exercise in the morning, going to a class, because you have to sacrifice everything because you are not feeling great at all. Of course, when you are always with a person that is stressing you and the relationship is not going anywhere, whether work or partnership, there is an issue here that your cardiovascular system will be suffering. And this is actually proven in a study from 2016 from the University of Michigan. And they found out that the stress of negative relationships will directly affect your system. So I'm not going to give you details here, but that's not very good. One of the ways in which it does affect it is because stress gives a cortisol a big push, doesn't it? And when you are stressed, you might cope with very unhealthy behaviors. For example, drinking or emotional eating. And these are very common in our society. I read sometimes in groups of people that talk about being addicted to alcohol and maybe sometimes drugs. And you hear these stories where, oh, this happens and that happens with my partner, he or she does this and that. All I can do is in the evening, I go through 2 or 3 bottles, that's my life. And then I stop and then I start again, I feel even worse and I start again, but they can't change the situation. So their situation gets worse because now they have the added problem of the addiction. And this week I was reading a comment from a person that had developed a relationship, a long distance with somebody across the globe. And this person flew all the way to the other side of the world to meet this person that they are talking to, maybe online, I don't know. I imagine they didn't do pen writing, pen pals. It must have been some live video thing. And when this person, I don't even know if it was, because it was an anonymous woman or man, maybe, let's say it's a she. And when she went abroad to meet this guy, the guy was abusive. But she didn't say the word abuse. She said he shouted to me, he called me names, he was very angry and this and that. And I came back and now I'm very confused. I told me, you're a good man, you just need to calm down and this and that. And basically this person had no idea of what a good relationship is. Can you imagine going all the way to the other side of the world to meet somebody and they treat you like that on the first day? And can you imagine what it would be like to live with them all the time? They have serious problems. They need to see a therapist and you need to see one, because if you're still wondering if you should be with them, I mean you should run from a person like that. And yet lots of people have such a low understanding of what is a healthy relationship. Maybe they have never seen one. Maybe they don't have self-confidence, that they can't recognize one when they see it. And so they accept shouting and yelling like mad and being so overly aggressive. That's not on. It's not supposed to be happening. And when you see a person like that, the last thing you want is to be working with them, living with them, and even get married to them. That's dangerous. So you can see how a relationship where you feel worse than you would feel without this person in your life is not very good for you. It can be toxic. We call it toxic. It's not really a diagnostic term, but it can be everywhere. It could be in your boardroom, with the CEO. It could be everywhere. And so you want to know what to do with it. And especially if you have a mental illness, if you have depression, like serious depression, clinical depression, if you have bipolar disorder, if you tend to have depressing tendencies, and you keep going into these toxic relationships, you are more sensitive to negative emotions. You'll be suffering more than other people when you meet person like that. And it's important to understand that being yourself in a mentally difficult situation can make you a target of people who are toxic. And the effect can be different from person to person. You can do maybe counseling to understand how personally you can come out of that, but basically you have to be very, very careful of the subtle signs that come and how they build up, and then be careful to put those boundaries, because sometimes people are toxic without realizing it. And sometimes if we just have a calm conversation about what you need, then you can just clarify things. They'll stop talking in a way that is diminishing you, and they will respect you more. However, other times you just have to cope with them. Why? Because this could be maybe your boss, or it's your own parent, or it could be your own child, and you can't just get rid of them. Here they are, they're not gonna move, and they are toxic. So that relationship is bringing out the worst of you. It makes you behave really badly. And so what you need, the first thing you want is to have a communication that is good, that is positive, that is assertive, and you build up on the good moments to create this good communication. And also your boundaries, they have to be very smart and very healthy, so that the person knows if they cross this line, you're gonna withdraw and go somewhere else until they calm down, because they are not supposed to talk to you in that way or treat you in that way. So it is important that we have those communication channels always open, so you can talk about how you're feeling, what you actually need, and you take a responsibility. Maybe you're triggering the person without realizing. So it's not always a one-way street here. We have to talk about both people. What is their role in the situation? What is happening? Why are they feeling so insecure? Why do they feel they need to attack you? Have you been critical to them? Have you been diminishing? And then they're just bouncing back. So look at this as a problem and decide, how are you going to change this? What are the triggers? What are the words, the expressions, and the habits that you want to change, so that you both can help one another, so that you don't get to the point of being toxic? Of course, when you're talking to a person about how they make you feel, just remember, always say, I feel. When you say this, I feel. Don't say them, you are stupid, you are aggressive, you are... No, I feel that this is going on. So that is talking in a less aggressive way. And you want to make sure that you don't spend too much time with people like that if you can possibly avoid it, because they make you so unhappy. So if you can possibly not spend too much time and limit your interaction, don't go visit them too much, maybe it is possible to have less and less visits until you stop visiting these people, maybe one of your close relatives, whatever it is. But what you want to avoid is the confrontation, because the toxic person will win, either by being abusive, or by making you feel worse, or by living as the victim and tell everyone that you are the person that has got a problem there. In some cases, you don't want to do any of this. You just want to make sure that you have leave this relationship, because the person is not respecting you, the boundaries are not respected, and you have to decide that your mental health is more important. You might also have husband or wife to take care of, children, chronically ill people, or a job to look after, or your pets or whatever. So you want to feel good for yourself, and you might decide, well, I'm just gonna go, that's it, I'm just gonna stop talking to this person, I'm just going to disappear completely from my life, and I'm gonna go and see them, I'm not gonna call them, that's the end, because I had enough. Or you can make this fade slowly, so you, instead of see them all the time, you see them less and less, because maybe you've been transferred to another department or whatever. If it's a spouse, good luck to you, how are you gonna do that? But there has to be a way that safely you can slowly taper down this to feel safe, because you might completely have an emotional breakdown on this. And in other cases, there is the opportunity to talk to a person directly and say, well, I'm choosing to end this relationship, I cannot work with you anymore, I'm so sorry, but I feel like we are not really resonating with one another, we're just talking over, I think, you might get better with another person with your project, but I have to go. And so you have to just take accountability for your feelings and what you're deciding, and without attacking the other person. And don't expect if they say sorry or anything. Don't escalate the discussion, don't criticize them, but you just need to say, well, I just can't work in that way. Unless you are ready to work in a different way, I'm just gonna have to go, and see what they say. Obviously, it is not the same when you are married to somebody or you are living together. So if it's even abusive, you might want to find a network of help, some charity or institution or a group. You can talk to a doctor, you can go online and find a way where you can safely split up from this person. Maybe in public, you might have a friend with you or something, or send a message and then just disappear, because this person is actually dangerous to stay with. Maybe the police will be involved if this is a really abusive behavior. And you might have to move out of your house. And this is something that is, the extreme case. But I can see that eventually, if you do not have any more happiness or energy and these people are destroying your life and they are isolating you, they don't let you see your friends, they are cutting you off from your family or your friends because they don't even let you look at your messages, they hide your mobile phone. We're really going to abusive relationship here. Could be narcissistic as well, but it's abusive, so nobody can take away your freedom. And so it's important to understand this is not what you're here for on earth. You're not supposed to be a victim of anyone. You're not supposed to be told what to do. You're supposed to make your own decisions and make your choices. You should be free to believe whatever you want about whatever you want. People cannot come and tell you that you're wrong for believing or doing something. They can have good discussions where you debate both things without attacking. But if you feel like you can't say anything because these persons will attack you, destroy you and your integrity and make you feel like an idiot all the time, and if you keep talking, they will not just verbally but physically do things, and eventually they will escalate. You might get into the point of actually hurting you, attacking you badly and send you to the hospital. No, it's really not good that you just stay there and think, oh, but they say sorry and we made peace. I don't believe it. Such people need to just get their therapy sorted out before we can be back to the life of anyone, because you are in danger. And not only that, but if you have children, young people around, it will affect them as well. So you have a responsibility to make sure the children don't have to witness that, because it could be a traumatic experience for them, not very healthy, and you might get trouble with social services as well because you allow the children to be part. Just last week I was reading about this lady whose husband is a wonderful person, absolutely wonderful, excellent father, etc., until he drinks. When he drinks, he comes home and he's a total mess. He's destroying the life of everyone. He's bad with the kids, bad with the wife. He throws things, he's shouting, he's angry, and then he just says sorry, and then he starts again. And the wife says, I don't want to leave him. He's a wonderful person, but he's destroying me. But I'm staying for the kids. And everybody was saying, no, you shouldn't stay for the kids because the kids don't want a father like that. He needs to do something about his alcoholism. But if he doesn't do it and he's not doing it, then you need to be safe. And sadly, nowadays, there are so many people that for various reasons, they're feeling broken inside and they use addictions to numb this pain that they have. And instead of seeking therapy, I know there are waiting lists. I know it's expensive. We know, we've been there, done that. However, alcohol is expensive as well. And drinking or drugs, they are also expensive. They are very expensive habits. And eventually, in the long term, they will land people into a host of mental health problems, physical problems, medical situations where the lack of work, so the lack of earning and the lack of health will be way more costly than a few sessions with a qualified therapist that can help you to tackle this addiction. So always make sure that if you are the one listening to this podcast and you think, am I the person that is toxic, but I cannot cope with the pain or the feelings or whatever, make sure that you seek for a therapist that can help you to get the lid off a bottle and get those emotions safely out and process them and put them away, because a lot of stuff that comes out in people who are addicted, they have all this old stuff that is bottled up and they didn't quite express it, especially men, because they're taught not to cry, not to talk about their feelings, and then it explodes. But before it explodes, they drink to death or they take drugs and whatever. So there is hope for everyone. We just have to choose we want to do something, and then we get to start the process. And then yes, it could be that meanwhile you will divorce or you will have issues of all sorts, but because we need to sort ourselves out. We have nowadays so many good associations and groups and charities worldwide that are there to help, and they help you for free. and that can help you whichever end you are. If you are the victim of an abuser, or if you are the abuser, there are places where you can go to talk. So if you are on one or both sides of this vicious cycle of being in toxic relationships and you can't get out and you keep repeating it, talk to somebody, say, I need some help. Feel free to contact me as well. I have some people I can refer you to. I'm not a couples therapy specialist or anything like that. I'm not even an addiction specialist, but I can certainly help you to unbottle some of your emotions and maybe to refer you to a person specific to your issue. So it was quite a sobering episode today, but thank you for being with me, and please make sure that you share this episode with somebody if it can be helpful to them, and write a review if you want, so that I can have my little show grow and have more audience listening and learning a lot more, as I am learning every day, about mindset and how we can create the life that we want by looking at all these little things that we can put together. It's a big puzzle, and I'm glad to be here to help you to put together the life of your dreams. Create your life with Fran Sydney. You take care, everyone, and see you next week. Bye-bye. You've listened to Create with Fran Sydney.